There are new rules for Americans, Canadians, and citizens from 59 countries traveling to Europe beginning in January 2024. And today we're going to tell you what you need to know, how to get approval to travel, and other information as it pertains to the Schengen Zone and the new European Travel Information and Authorization System, also known as ETIAS.
We're John and Bev, and we are the Retirement Travelers.
If you're just finding us, we are a senior travel couple traveling full-time. We've been to 75 countries, and we are on a mission to live our best lives by vlogging our way around the world, making videos, and sharing travel tips and tricks. We have a newsletter, so be sure to sign up on our website to follow along at retirementtravelers.com.
We are currently in Ireland, and we are heading across Northern Europe, making our way to the Mediterranean, and then on to the Middle East. We spent 9 months in Europe last year, and we've been hearing about the new authorization requirement. Over the past year, it has seen several delays, and now the time has come for it to go into effect. It will begin in January of 2024. This will affect all citizens that currently have the privilege of entering the Schengen Zone without the need for a visa. So here's what you need to know.
First, you might be asking, what is the Schengen Zone? The Schengen Zone is a group of 27 countries, mostly EU countries, who have joined together to create one area controlled by one border. Essentially, you can enter one country like France and travel to Italy without going through customs again or having your passport stamped. The zone enables countries to eliminate internal borders. It works very well and makes travel to Europe very easy for most people. A citizen to one Schengen country can travel freely to another without having to obtain permission each time they travel. It's as if they have travel rights to all the countries in the zone. Now, these countries also agree to rules concerning their border security to maintain consistent control of their exterior borders. As a traveler, you also have the same ability to travel freely, just as you do when traveling from state to state in the United States.
Currently, most EU countries are part of the zone, but there are other countries that are not in the EU that are members, and there are also a few countries that aren't in the zone but are in the EU. Now, it's a little confusing, but we're going to get it straightened out for you. It has been a country-to-country decision whether you join. Now, here's a map, and as you can see, all violet and teal countries are in the zone, and all gold and pink countries are outside the zone. Now, it can be a little complicated, but this is as easy a way to understand it.
If you've only traveled to Europe for a week or two at a time, you might not even realize that you entered the zone, but you did. The Schengen Zone allows visitors from the U.S. and other countries to visit as a tourist for 90 days within a 180-day period. This is a rolling 90. So if you exit and return, you have only 90 days within a 180-day period. You must keep up with your days. They don't alert you. So if you overstay, you could be arrested, fined high penalties, deported, and banned from re-entry. Our advice is to pay careful attention to how many days you are in the zone. It is solely your own responsibility to count your days. When your passport is scanned as you exit the zone, they can electronically tell that you have overstayed your visa. It would be devastating to us to get our days mixed up, so we are extremely careful.
Last year, we traveled 3 months in the zone to Italy and Greece, but then we needed to exit the zone for 90 days before we could re-enter. Now, during the second half of the 180 days, we traveled to the Balkan states and we visited each country. Now, when those 90 days out of the zone were over, we were able to re-enter. We could have also gone to countries like the UK, Cyprus, Turkey, or Ireland. Now, even though Switzerland, Norway, and Iceland are not EU members, they have agreed to join the Schengen Zone.
The zone has been in existence since 1985, and over that time, new member countries have been added. The zone has allowed citizens of certain countries like the U.S. to enter without obtaining a visa. Now, this will remain in effect going forward, but they have instituted a new rule. Starting in January, people from this list of countries, including the United States, will have to apply for authorization to enter from the European Travel Information and Authorization System, also known as ETIAS.
Now, this is not a visa, but it's rather a security pre-screening in order to travel. You will need to go online and apply and pay a small fee of around €7. Now, you will do all of this online before you can board a plane, and they will communicate with you via email. Now, this should streamline your entry at customs and keep the lines moving pretty quickly.
When we travel abroad to many countries, we are given the option to apply for e-visas online before arriving. This new system will be similar. This is usually a very easy process, and in many cases, you can get approval within minutes. Now, ETIAS will also be streamlined. However, they state that you should allow at least 14 days in case additional information is required. They are advising that you apply well in advance of your anticipated travel date, at least a month. If you are denied, you will be allowed an appeal, so take care of this early in case they request additional information about your travel plans.
When traveling last year, many countries required health visas, and we oftentimes saw people waiting at the side of check-in, trying frantically to get approval in time to board. You know, it can be very hectic, and while you might very well get immediate approval for your ETIAS, you might not. So don't take that chance of missing your flight.
Now, while this authorization is not a visa, it will allow you 3 years to travel in the zone, as long as your passport number you applied for with it is valid. So if you go yearly to the zone, you will only need a new authorization once every 3 years. It must remain valid for your entire stay. By the way, we often hear people who don't know that their passport has to have 6 months validity past their return date to obtain travel permission around the world. Countries just don't allow you to enter without 6 months extra on your passport, and the Schengen Zone is no different. Check the expiration on your passport as you plan a trip.
There was one big change to the Schengen Zone this year, and that was the inclusion of Croatia. Now, many people who travel to Europe extend their stay by traveling to the Balkan countries like we did. However, Croatia is now included in the zone and isn't one of the Balkan countries where you can go visit. We understand that Romania and Bulgaria, plus Cyprus, are all working towards joining, but they haven't been approved yet. It usually takes many years to be admitted, so if you have plans to visit those countries, please keep an eye on that.
We are often asked if there is a way to avoid the zone and stay in Europe longer than 90 days. The only way we have heard of tourists doing this is to get an extension in Portugal or other countries at the end of your stay. But we've never done it, and we don't know anyone who has. This type of extension only works in the country you've applied to, and it has restrictions.
We hope this helps explain the changes. If you have a question, please leave it in the comments, and we will try to answer as many as we can. So stay tuned for our packing hack video that will follow, and we will see you next time. Be sure to hit subscribe and follow along on our retirement journey around the world.